it is now being recorded, but just our presentation is being recorded. The chat will not be recorded or shared out. So feel free to write anything in the chat that you like. Okay. All right, great. So we are going to talk today about the digital SAT. It is changed because it is going from being a paper and pencil chat or a paper and pencil test to a test that's given on your students' electronic devices or their iPads. It is still a standardized test. It still is something that measures your students' knowledge of math, evidence-based reading, and writing. Same as before. The science and social studies competencies are embedded in the reading and the math sections. It measures college readiness. So when a ninth grader is taking it, they're not taking it because they want to see if they're going to get into college. They want to know if they're on the right track. Do they have the right skills? Same with sophomore year. Are you on the right track and do you have the right skills? It's like a temperature probe, right? So then if they need a little bit of extra help, Stevenson can provide that extra help. And that's done through Dr. Custable's office, as well as our student learning programs office. And we will talk about the SAT and the differences between the SAT and the PSAT during this conversation. So the SAT is also a requirement for graduation in the state of Illinois. For those of you who have students or know students who are in their 20s, they may have taken the ACT, but then the state of Illinois said, no, we really like the SAT better. And so our students now are required to take the SAT for graduation. So, and it's really a nice thing because if everyone takes the same sort of assessment that sees how well they're prepared, it can be used as a common data point for all students, right? And it can be used for a lot of things to look at, are you on track, or where are your strengths, or where might you need a little bit of help? So at Stevenson High School, the SAT is going to be given a few times. The 11th graders take the SAT for April 10th of next year, right, Wendy? April 10th of next year, all 11th graders will take the SAT as part of the school day. They will not have to sign up for it separately. They will take it on their iPad. And the reason we give it in school like that is because it is required by the state of Illinois, right? So, and there are some things that our students can do to prepare for that. There's summer school classes, there's support from Stevenson tutors, and then we will go on at the end of our discussion and talk about a Revolution Prep, the College Board, and Khan Academy, where there's opportunities for your student, if you have a junior, to already begin practicing for the SAT if that's something that they want to do. Okay, now the PSAT or PSAT / NMSQT is the preliminary SAT. So it's pre-SAT. Some people use the NMSQT. They make a word out of it, but there's no vowels in there, so I'm not going to try. But the PSAT is like the primer to the SAT. So 9th graders and 10th graders, or as we call them at Stevenson, freshmen and sophomores, take the PSAT. And it is a litmus test to see, hey, how are you doing? Do you need any extra help in things? Because we know, as we said about the SAT, the PSAT, same thing, great data point to see how are you doing and how can we support you and your success, both at Stevenson as well as when you leave Stevenson, right? The PSAT, and Wendy, I need a shake head, yes or no, is also used for sophomores, not freshmen, sophomores, to see if they qualify for National Merit Scholarship. But let me just qualify this for you.
We do
Like,
that as juniors too.
oh, they do
The
it as juniors
juniors,
too?
yeah, the Merit Scout, that's why all of our students, that's one of there are two reasons why we do the PSAT MNSQT, for two real reasons. One, it is since they're going to be taking the SAT in the spring,
Mhm.
or some might even choose to take it later in the fall somewhere else. We have weekend testing and things like that. It just gives you a good kind of indicator where you are. And then
Mhm.
it's mostly juniors that take it for merit scholars. Once in a while, we'll have some sophomores take it. That is not necessarily what we, once in a while, that we don't really, it's not needed. They
So,
can, but it's not needed.
and would it, because the SAT is given by the College Board, is the PSAT given by the College Board?
Yes, it
And
is.
and can you find your PSAT scores on the College Board site?
Yes. So in the next couple weeks, if your student doesn't already have a College Board account,
Oh,
if
sorry.
you're,
Yeah,
that's
go
okay, I
ahead.
got it. If your student doesn't already have a College Board account, our English teachers and our mathematics teachers over the next couple weeks will help students get that. And you'll be able to access that through your student's account.
Okay.
So you just go to, and I think it's in your presentation here at the end,
Mhm.
is that collegeboard.org will be able to, you can go in there and say, I need to make a student account. Then you connect to Stevenson, and your students will have access to that. So you're going to have to work through your student to look
Okay.
at that, and everything is posted there. In fact, students learn about their scores before schools do on that site.
Oh, really?
Students usually learn before.
That's pretty cool. Um, I like the fact that, they get a little bit extra, little
Yeah.
little information before everybody else gets it. So PSAT. So remember, Dr. Custable was talking about a lot of people take the PSAT, and you can use it for that National Board Merit Scholarship. Now, I have to put this in perspective for everybody. Every single student, right, taking the SAT, that's thousands and thousands of students taking the SAT. The top, what is it? The top 1% of the people that take it are eligible for possibly being nominated for a national board, national merit scholarship. So it's really, really, really a very, very small amount. It's not like, oh, you got a 90%, so you're getting you're getting nominated. It's a really, really, it's a lovely thing if you get it, but it's not something that's determining whether or not you did well on it or not. Okay. If it's just to put that in perspective. But the PSAT is it assesses the knowledge and your skill levels. Wendy is still here. She just stepped away from her screen. So if you have a question for Dr. Custable, I can still ask her. And so here are the dates. 11th grade is going to take the PSAT on October 11th. And remember, they also are going to take the SAT in April. So I think it was April 10th. So PSAT now, see how well you do. That's the pretest, the pre-SAT, SAT in April. So really nice pairing of the two. 10th grade is going to take the PSAT on March 7th. And 9th grade will take the PSAT on April 10th. There is no registration necessary to take those for your 9th, 10th, or 11th grader. No registration, no fee. Don't worry about it. They're taking it as part of the school, so that's that litmus test to see how well they're doing, and to see how, what kind of reasoning do they have and what's going on, to see if there might need to have a little bit of support necessary. Okay. So let's keep going on. So how is this scored? So some of us, I remember the good old days of the ACT and everything is out of 36. Well, the SAT is between 400 and 1600. How does that scored? 800 for English reading and writing, 800 for mathematics. So reading and writing is expression of ideas. Oh, yeah. the person who asked about score, you actually will get your scores faster in the digital setting than you would have in the written setting. I don't know exactly how many weeks it is, but it's fast.
Yeah,
And it'll be,
Mara, they haven't told us that, but they're promising that's one of the things that the College Board is bragging about, is that they're saying, hey, now that it's digital, we'll be able to get your scores back to you sooner in a nice, orderly fashion too. So we're very hopeful what that looks like.
and you'll see them on the College Board, right? If we
You
have time,
will.
I'll go into my College Board. I have a College Board account like I'm a student.
Yeah,
So-
and with that, once we get to that, we will start putting some things on our site too. So we have one of the other things I think you're going to show later is our Stevenson website. We have a testing site on our Stevenson website, and we continue to update that. So when we find out more information about that, we will definitely be posting it on there or putting it out in the Daily Digest and things for families.
Perfect. So scoring 1600, still the same for the digital SAT. It is digital right now. This is what I understand. And Dr. Custable, tell me if I'm wrong. Everybody, juniors, freshmen, and sophomores will take the SAT and the PSAT digitally now. Excuse my phone ringing. I'm at home. But the seniors that decide to take the SAT again now in the fall will still take it paper and pencils, but that's just for seniors if they're taking it in the fall. Okay, but everybody else digital.
Yes, you are correct. That is all correct. And just a side note, is that the SAT went digital for basically everybody but the United States last spring. So any schools that were taking the SAT in another country, they were doing it last spring.
Oh, so it sort of got, I want to say, like they were sort of the people that it was tested out on.
Yeah.
And kind of make sure it worked. That's kind of nice to know. So what's the same? Still measuring college and career readiness, still 1600 score, still testing in school or at a testing center, right? So you can still sign up for it. There's still a lot of practice and test resources that we'll be able to share with you. And you can still use your score. The scores are still used because it's a norm test, right? A lot of places use them for admissions, for scholarships, things like that. What is different? It's no longer paper and pencil. Students will be able to test on a laptop or on a tablet. The tests will be shorter, and we're going to go over that next. How will it look different? Calculators are allowed on all math sections now. As a matter of fact, I think there's a calculator built in, maybe. Is that true, Wendy, or did I make that up?
That is true. There's a calculator built in. Yep.
Okay, and there's shorter reading passages, wider range of topics, and it's kind of a little bit more like college level reading at that. And it's a really much more secure format now than before. So that's really nice as well. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly what's different on it. Okay, so first I'd like to look at the reading and writing section. Before, there was 96 questions, right? So this is a shorter test. 96 questions before on the test. Now in 2 sections. Now one section, 54 questions. It was 100 minutes, which is over an hour and a half. Now 64 minutes, just over an hour. Okay.
And Mara, just one thing that I know I was meeting with our counselors today talking about this, and one thing they were really excited about is even though we have less time, there are also less questions, meaning that students are going to have a little bit more time per question on the SAT now.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's like, you don't think a minute is a long time for a question, but this is longer than a minute for a question, which is nice. And I also feel like I mean, I feel like it's nicer because there's less test fatigue, right? It's not 100 questions, it's 64 questions, much less. There used to be that long passage with a lot of questions about one long passage, but now it's just a short prompt, which is only one question, which is nice. This is all digital. No paper and pencil at all, right? So all digital.
Correct. And I don't know if we've said this, that the digital device that students are going to be using will be their school issued iPad.
Yeah, I like that. So they can practice on their iPad. It feels really comfortable to them, right? So
yes.
The math section goes from 58 questions to 44, from 2 sections to 1 section. Before there was a calculator section and a no calculator section. Now it's all one section using your calculator. It's 80 minutes. All right. So a little bit longer than an hour and a half, or before. Now it's 70 minutes, just cut down about 10 minutes. But and you still have multiple choice and the student produced responses, but all of it is just less. It's just not as much. So, which is again really nice. Sum total, the test is shorter, more concise, a little bit nicer for the students. Now, Dr. Custable, will you do me a favor, since I am less familiar with how we're going to see our scores? Can you give a little overview of how we're going to look at scores?
Yeah, what you have on the screen is an example of what the College Board will send students on their College Board portal of their scores, and they'll break it down by each of the subject areas, and then they'll give kind of just like some basic information. So if you have students that were that took the MAP testing, for example, in our elementary and middle schools, and they're taking the MAP scores, it's some of the similar ways of displaying information. In addition, they're using this opportunity of going digital to provide some more online services and kind of college and career planning that goes along with it. And so then there'll be additional information that will be on here.
I like that a lot. I like that they kind of, so that's like, so if you do really well in math, they're like, hey, you might want to think about these kinds of things.
Yeah, and there's also, they're trying to make better connections, and as the years go by, things are going to get a little bit more robust with the College Board and the services that they will be providing.
So given that it's shorter, it's online, it's shorter, it's online, everything else, are colleges kind of feeling like maybe it's a little dumbed down, or maybe it's...
No, they are looking at this. The College Board is really pushing this as this is even a much more reliable test than even before. It was a very reliable test to begin with. The college and universities trusted. But now that it's in digital, they find that it's even more secure and more reliable. How they're going to create that for students and a good assessment of their skills. And there is a question in there that just showed up that says, is the digital version in Illinois or only nationwide? It's going to be nationwide. The digital version is the only one anybody anywhere in the world will be able to take from here on out.
Wow. And can you remind everyone who the College Board is?
Sure. The College Board is basically the governing board of all these standardized tests.
Yeah.
So
like even
that's
the ACT and the SAT.
So they're in charge of the ACT, SAT, and all of the AP courses too.
Right.
So all the standardized tests that we take is kind of controlled or created by the College Board, and it's for everybody in the United States and actually abroad when it comes to these particular tests.
That's pretty. Don't you wonder, like, who decided that? Sorry.
I know, right? We should have gotten that business.
I know. Right. Like, who decides? Hey, it's the College Board. And like, who's on the College Board? Is it a board? Is it people? Sorry.
I know. And we have one more question that just came through that was asking about during COVID, especially, we saw a lot of colleges say, you know what, we're not going to take you don't have to give your SAT anymore
Yeah.
or your ACT anymore. And we're still going to have some colleges that are going to do that. There are some that hypothesize that some of the colleges are doing that because they need to get kids in their college, in their university, because COVID put a big hit on them. And the skeptics are thinking that as we get slower to kind of out of the pandemic, the universities are going to get more of their students back, and the SAT is going to be they're emphasized more. We will see. You're going to see probably a hybrid it depends on where you're going to go to school and what you're looking for. You're going to see probably a hybrid from now on.
Right. And then if a student is going someplace else to take the SAT, do they bring their iPad with them again? They just always bring your own device.
If they're taking it at Stevenson, yes.
What if they're going
it just depends on if they're going to go to another place. They can take it on the weekend. It depends what that testing space asks for.
Okay.
We're trying to figure that out too, because we're an official College Board testing site. And in the spring, once it goes all digital, we have to figure out, what are we going to ask people to do?
Right.
Are we going to say, you're going to come and use our school issued devices, or you have to bring your own? My guess is most places are going to say we're going to have to use their device. So if you go to Deerfield High School and they're offering, Deerfield High School probably will give you their device. It might be an iPad, it might be a Chromebook, but they might that's going to be determined by each site.
Yeah, and then the SAT and the ACT for college acceptance some places are going to say, hey, you have to take it. Some people are going to say you have to send us an SAT score. I don't know that anybody says you have to send us an ACT score. But that could be because colleges can decide what they want the student to have for their own acceptance. And some may say, hey, we don't want any score. So it's okay if you missed the PSAT as a 9th grader. You'll just take it as a 10th grader. You wouldn't retake it as a 10th grader because you wouldn't take a 9th grade test as a 10th grade. You'll just take the 10th grade one. You can
look at the PSAT as a practice to give you feedback as you're moving towards the SAT.
And we're going to look at when we're going to go on now is how you can look at scores. There are ways that you can take a full practice test for the PSAT or for the SAT. Just hang on for a minute through the digital platform. Okay. So we've talked about the digital SAT, and the nice thing that the College Board has done is it has partnered with this group called the Blue Book, and it's the Blue Book app. And those of us who have familiar with going to college in the US, remember a Blue Book is how we used to take written tests. So I think that's how they got their name. That's just ancillary information. To get into Blue Book, you use your College Board username and password. If you want to see how your student did, have your student share their College Board username and password. And I believe that Dr. Custable said that through the English teachers, if they have not already created a College Board username and password, they will for the school. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you as someone who used to work my office used to be in the College Career Center. When your student writes down their College Board username and password, write it down in the inside of a cabinet, put it on your cell phone, put it on your student's cell phone, put it in 5 different places where you have backup on backup on backup on backup on backup. Because it is very, very difficult to get your College Board username and password again if you lose it, right? So because it's not, Stevenson doesn't control that. That's a third party, that's the College Board, and you want to make sure that you have that username and password. You can't make a username and password for yourself and access your students' tests. You have to use their account.
And Mara, they're going to ask you for a ask them for a phrase like to remember. So if they forget their password, they're going to say what's the phrase that you're supposed to say. And so that's the other thing you want to write down, and that will help students with is we're going to tell them, okay, make sure you have that phrase in, because as much as we want to help students with their passwords and stuff at Stevenson, we can only help them so much, and then the rest is up to them and the College Board.
Yes, right. And it's and you'll need it for like accessing things. So I would just tell you as the adult that's helping this young adult manage all of this, making a place to put all usernames and passwords is just good form, and it sort of helps them understand that that's a good practice for them to have as well. Because remember, I always say that we're modeling the things that we want them to do as adults, and we want them to have those abilities. So let's talk about Blue Book a little bit. The College Board is just a portal to see scores, to register for an exam, those kinds of, it is not the exam site. So the exam site is called Blue Book. You take your exam through Blue Book. Every student at Stevenson has their own digital device, their own tablet, right? Your student knows how to do this, I promise. They would download Blue Book from self-service. Self-service is, the app looks like a multicolored flower. It's the only thing I can explain how it looks like. But in there, you can see all the applications that you can download that are pre-approved by Stevenson, or even Stevenson has paid for access to that program for their students. So you want to go through self-service, download Blue Book. This year's juniors and sophomores, juniors and sophomores have to download Blue Book through self-service. So they're very familiar with self-service. They can do it. Freshmen, yay, congratulations. Your students walked in with Blue Book already on their computer. And the way Blue Book looks, see this looks like a sideways star with like wings. That's what it looks like. That's what the app, the little thing looks like. And when you log into it and you bring it up, it says sign in, and you sign in with your College Board account, right? So here's the steps. They're creating that College Board account with the English teachers, right? And then they're taking that username and password, and we're putting it in 10 different places in your home. And then you're going to use that username and password to sign into Blue Book. Is that good for everybody? I wish I I could see everyone's face and like going.
You
Like
put
this.
thumbs up, a thumbs up.
Yeah,
Or
give me a little
thumbs
thumbs up if that makes sense to everyone. Thanks. Yay.
And again, the math starting next week, your students' English teachers will be talking them through some of this. In the week of the 25th, your students' mathematics teachers will be doing the same, kind of helping them through this.
So I made a College Board account, and I'm going to tell you, so I have the most fun on College Board. My favorite place on College Board is Big Future, but so I made a College Board account, right? I love Big Future. It's the best. So I made a College Board account, and I downloaded Blue Book onto my computer, not onto my tablet. And I didn't use self-service, but your students should do that. You can do it if you want to. And so, because I wanted to see what it looked like so that I could be better prepared to tell all of you. When you go into Blue Book, it says, hang on, I have two people waiting in my.
I got you, Mara.
Gotcha. Thank you. When you go in to Blue Book, it says, hey, hi, what do you want to do? And if you've signed up for a test, it'll tell you, you could take a test. And you have two things that you can do. You can take a test preview, which is like, I want to take a sample. I want to see what it looks like. Or you could take a full-length practice test, which is so great because you don't have to say, I'm going to sit down for 70 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever. You could say, hey, I've got 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I'm going to sit down and just take a couple. Or you can say, hey, I want to see what it's like to test on a computer. I've never seen that. Why don't we go through a couple? And you could sit next to your teen and let them do it. Don't tell them what to do. Don't take the test for them, but just watch and see how do they look at the test? How do they try to figure things out? This is what the test looks like. Right? Sorry, I have a screen in front of it. This is what it looks like. This is what the questions look like. I literally took a screenshot of it. So it's the it's the question on one side, right? And then it's the answers on the other, okay? And there are tools that you can use for it. So this is the question on the left, on the right side are the answers. Now, here's the interesting thing. You can pop around in questions. Like you could say, I need to look at that question later, right? So like if you're circling it, if you're taking a paper test, you can do the same kind of thing. And you can say, hey, what am I on? What haven't I answered? And you can pop around and go to see the test. Mr. Reddy, I'm recording it, and it will be on my SHS Family Engagement YouTube channel. And it will be translated as well with subtitles. So you can see this, right? And you can go down to the different questions at the bottom. Here's the other thing that's really cool. Along the right-hand side, there are all these different tools, including an annotation pencil that you can annotate on the test. Our students at Stevenson learn how to take tests by marking up the test, marking up what are the important words, what is saying like a function that I need to remember. How am I looking at this test and sort of deducing what they want me to know on this test? I watch them do it. I'm one of the proctors for the AP test. I'm telling you, all of you should just hug your children right now, because they take tests in a way that is just masterful, and they use those annotation tools. So it's a really good idea for them to get into Blue Book and practice using those annotation tools, because they are actually going to have those annotation tools on the test when they take them for the juniors in a few weeks. Okay? Good. Everybody's good with that? Does anybody want to see it live? Hang on. I'm going to do this live. This is where maybe I'm going to do a new share. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Okay. Let me see what I can do here. Where's my, yeah, there we go. Okay. I'm going to share Blue Book exams. Okay. So this is my Blue Book account. Can I found this new thing on, oh yeah, you can see it. Okay. I found this new thing. How long have we been doing Zoom? I found this thing where you can preview what everybody can see. It's the coolest thing. So toggling between questions is allowed, yes. And you can, so just like you're taking the test, you can do that. So I'm going to show you this. I'm just going to minimize the chat, Dr. Custable, or I'm going to close it. So
that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm answering some questions on here. So go ahead.
Okay. So watch this. So I'm in my Blue Book account. I want to go in and do a test preview. So I'm going to do a test preview, and I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go here and go, okay. And I'm going to say, what kind of test do I want to take? I'm going to take an SAT test, and I'm going to say, okay. And then it's just going to tell me you have a little bit of time here, but this is exactly what it looks like. Here are some directions, right? Reading and writing skills. Each question includes one or more passages, and read it carefully, then choose the best answer. Okay, I'm going to close that. But look, here's exactly what it looks like. Here is the question. Here is an annotation tool. So I can say, hey, they don't lose their, what is it? I don't know. It's the language. So maybe I want to look at this and I want to copy that. And so what do I want to do with the annotation? Do I want to highlight it? I'm going to highlight it there. I'm going to underline it. So I know I can pick things out that I want as I'm looking at this exam, right? As I'm looking at this exam question. Here
So,
are,
so
sorry.
Mara, with that,
Okay.
it's going to be the communication art teachers. They're looking at this saying, "Huh, now that everything is shorter, will students have to annotate, be required to, or have to annotate less?" Like in some cases where students have been taught, like when those long passages, it's like to keep track of stuff, you need to annotate and write things in. Now that they're shorter passages, in some cases, students won't find the need to have to annotate. And some will. So that's why this PSATs are really nice to start with, because you can kind of get a feel for that. In addition, the other piece I wanted just to add to that is all students are allowed 3 pieces of scratch paper. They could write on it front and back. We collect it at the end, but then that's also a nice spot if students, want to write stuff down to remember and things. They will have that on the side that they could use.
Oh, that's great. So now if I want to mark it for review, I can answer it. I can mark it for review if I like. And now I can go to the next question. Now, when I go down here, do you see how number 1 has this little flag on it for marked for review? And if I want to, no, the SAT can be taken as many times as they want. Sorry. So let's see if I can go to number 4. I just went to question number 4 randomly. I just walked over here. Here's 2 texts. And I don't know, I'm just going to put whatever answer I want in here. I'm just on a practice. So, but this is exactly what it looks like for students if they just want to practice in Blue Book to see what things look like on the test. And this is just a practice. You can spend as much time on this as you want to, or as little time on this as you want to, which is really a nice thing to be able to do. Okay. Okay, everyone, I'm going back to the presentation. Sorry, I just feel like I won the lottery. Okay,
Good job,
so
Mara.
let's talk about supports that we have through, yes, recording on this. Thank you. On SHS Family Engagement will be the recording of this. So what do we have from Stevenson to support your student preparing for the SAT? Now, I want to let you know, these are not new supports that Dr. Custable or Dr. Israel came up with because they were like, oh, it's digital. These are supports that have always been in place for our students to support them doing well on the standardized test and having the standardized test reflect their ability, right? So some of us need a little bit extra help and practice on taking a standardized test. So there is a summer school SAT prep class before you're a sophomore, junior, or a senior, not before your freshman year, but before your sophomore, junior year, or senior year. There is the tutors in the east side and on the west side. Remember, we have tutors on the lower level on the west side and underneath the ILC. And on the east side, they're on the second level, right across from they're near like where the language, the east edition is. So you could take a couple of those questions and say, hey, I didn't get this question. Can you talk me through it? Right. And there is remediation as well if your student needs some remediation, right? So if your student takes the PSAT and they say, hey, they're not doing so well in these standardized tests, you might want to think about putting them in one of these extra help sessions, and that will help them get better prepared to take the SAT. Also, Stevenson has a number of partners, right? The College Board, when you sign up for the College Board, College Board knows they give a lot of tests out. They have daily practice for the SAT. That's brilliant because it's like doing 10 push-ups a day, right? You want to get big and strong? You could do 10 push-ups a day. And it's not like you have to find 20 minutes to plow through 10 questions. If you do a little bit every day, your mind stays focused. Your habit of mind stays like clear on doing and being able to read those test questions and sort of sharp. I'm not saying that's the only thing they should do, but it's a really, really great strategy for an ongoing practice. Obviously, there's the practice test and the full-on practice test, the downloadable shorty tests and the longer ones. And those are through Blue Book, like I showed you. Those are two really great resources. Khan Academy is something that I just think that whoever that Khan guy who made up Khan Academy, he just deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. He has help for a lot of different subjects. And if your student is one of those students that likes to look online for help, Khan Academy is a great resource. And for the SAT is there's no shortage from Khan Academy for help on the SAT on the kinds of questions that will be found and the way to look at answering those questions. So Khan Academy is a great resource. Also, through Revolution Prep. Revolution Prep is used by our Stevenson Summer School classes. They have a prescribed, like if you were to pay for a class, Revolution Prep is one of them. And I remember when Stevenson chose Revolution Prep, they really did very, very careful consideration of a number of different organizations that offered their services to Stevenson. And they felt Revolution Prep was the most comprehensive and the best test prep out there. Dr. Custable, anything else? I don't know. Someone asked what kind of score would require remediation. I believe that if your student doesn't score well enough, you'll get a letter that says, hey, you might want to think about doing this.
Yeah, I saw that question too, Mara, and I'd have to double check on. We do have kind of benchmark, like some scores that we do, and we do reach out to families with the PSE 9, PSA 10 and say, hey, we're here to support you based on those scores. And that comes from our student learning programs and Dr. Israel.
Yeah, so now I want to show you under academics, the PSAT and SAT testing center. I hear you. When my kids were at Stevenson, I was like, hey, we're not getting a letter. So here we are at Stevenson. I'm just going to do a quick remember, this is the website. I don't know if your student wore white to that game. Under academics, there is a tab that says SAT, PSAT, SAT, ACT testing, right? When you click on that, the first thing you see are two very beautiful young ladies. And then you scroll down and you see an overview of testing dates. For those of you who have your calendars, you can go back into this, put these in your calendars, and you'll see what grade is taking it and what the date is, whether it's in the spring or in the fall, right? So remember October 11th, all of you who have fabulous juniors, October 11th is your first day. And then there's the Illinois Science Assessment that comes up in March for those students. Then if you scroll all the way down, wow, I love this resource. This is so cool. It gives you information on testing day and what your students need and what is required by you as a family to help your student, to get them to the test. Basically, school day testing, bring a charged, please remember to have them charge their tablet before they go to test. They are going to be using it for what I say it was like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. So it needs to be fully charged.
We'll send reminders.
Some reminders. Then so this is school day testing. There's information on national testing days, like what are we doing? What are the national dates for for testing and which ones are at Stevenson, right? So Stevenson, if you take it outside of the school day, right? So national days are outside of the school day. These are all the dates that you can register for and have your student take it still at Stevenson. Some students decide they want to take the test again, and they decide they want to take it in their own school because they feel more comfortable in their own environment. That's
Mara, just so parents know that there will be a fee for that because that's run through College
Yes.
Board.
Yes, and you have to go through the College Board to register for that. You can't like email school or your counselor and say, hey, can you sign me up for that? If they could, they would, but that's through the College Board.
And all those websites are on there.
Yes, so yeah, they're coming up. So here's frequently asked questions about the SAT and the PSAT. I won't go through them, but feel free to take a look at them. And those of you, I just want to remind you that our website is in English, but if you feel more comfortable in a different language, I know I'm speaking English, and if you feel more comfortable in a different language, there will be subtitles in the video of this. Remember, down in this lower right-hand corner of our website, if you click on that English and you click on any of the other languages, the text of the website changes. So it is in a language that you are more familiar with and more comfortable with. We want you to feel comfortable getting the information that's going to help you support your student. Now, let's look at the additional resources. This is my favorite. So information for the PSAT and the PSAT for freshmen and sophomores, all here. Great, wonderful. Thank you very much for doing that. Then as we scroll down, PSAT for juniors, SAT for juniors, scroll through those. And then my favorite part of this entire thing. Look at this. This is the gold. So lots of preparation resources that our testing center, Dr. Custable and her colleagues have put together on practice tests. And down here are all links to the College Board, to Khan Academy. Remember, we said that we like Khan Academy. It's free. Resources for the SAT. Here's the daily practice questions. Here are practice tests that are downloadable. Remember, they're going to be taking it on computers, but you might want to download some tests and, just go through it on paper. Downloadable assistive technology tests and digital tests. So really, really, really great resources that Stevenson has put together for our families so that you really have a nice centralized space to get your information. Remember, under academics, and then under this tab right here, PSAT, SAT, and ACT. Before we leave, I want to show you another piece of information. So that's what we just looked at. Look at this great piece. This unbelievably great resource was created by someone in the testing center, one of Dr. Custable's colleagues. And I am going to put a link to this right here in the chat. Everybody go link to it right now. Our counselors got this today. And it is how to prepare for digital testing. This is what we talked about. It's such a good reminder of what we talked about today. Do you have a College Board account? Remember, it is your student's account. It's not your account. You can make an account if you want to and play on Big Future all you want. It's a really great thing to look at what colleges, if my student is involved in certain things, and you don't have to do it with your college, with your student next to you. The second thing is download the College Board's Blue Book account. Please use your student's tablet to do it. Please use self-service to do it, right? Because that just facilitates the whole process. You use your College Board account, and you should really take time to take a practice test. The reason we did this a month beforehand is so that you have time to take a few of those practice questions and then really delve in and at least take a practice math test and take a practice reading test so that they feel the pacing, they feel how it feels to be on a computer for that long, taking a test, right? The College Board will not see those practice tests. They do not grade those practice tests. It does not get shared with any colleges. It is Blue Book, and it is just a practice test. It is not anything you have to worry about. Then, if you want more resources, those QR codes, go to the Stevenson page and the College Board page, okay? I hope that's helpful for everybody, and I hope the link to that page is in the chat. So those of you who are looking for it, it's in the chat. If you have any questions about tonight, I don't know, our AP tests are going digital?
We tested one out that went very successfully last year. It was AP English Lit. We are going to bring on a social studies one. I've lost what one it is right now, but they are moving that direction. So every year we are trying to add more and more of those onto our docket. They've been giving us opportunities in whatever test they're ready to do it in. So the AP is moving a little slower, but we are definitely moving that direction.
Yeah. When we've gotten out of here, and you can find this on the bottom of the link for the Stevenson High School. If you have questions, I highly suggest that you write them to SHS testing at D125. The QR code on here is just really for our data for the people at Stevenson. It's a quick 3 or 4 questions Google form that just says, hey, did you like this? Did it meet your needs? What could we have done better? How did you hear about this? And what else do you want to hear about? Really, as a family engagement coordinator, I always say I respond, and my bosses, much as Dr. Twiddell might not like to hear this, my bosses are you all. My bosses, I respond to you, I answer to you. You are the people that I hold near and dear to my heart. And really what you want is really, no favor is too big, no question is too small. And so if you take that, just use your phone, 4 questions, let me know what you think. Thank you, Dr. Custable, for your time. I know that you are a very, very busy parent, and I really appreciate you sharing all of your good knowledge with our families. Everyone, this will be on SHS Family Engagement. The link is in the chat, and I will do subtitles for everyone. It will be up either tomorrow or Thursday. Please give me about a day maybe to get everything up. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you're taking the interest in doing this and supporting your student in the digital SAT and as a student at Stevenson. And I hope all of you are enjoying the start of the school year. Thank you so very, very much for joining us tonight, Dr. Custable. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a great evening, and we'll see you at Stevenson. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Hey,
what?
Hey, Mara.
Yes.
Just a random thing. I saw one more chat that came to me. It says, does your College Board account should be created with your school email ID? And I just wanted this, I think that's just a really important question. So sorry to put this last minute one in there.
Yeah, no.
Is that students, all freshmen created theirs with their student ID's email or Stevenson email. If it's a Stevenson email, yes, they can do that. However, once they graduate Stevenson High School, they're going to lose their Stevenson account, which then their College Board account goes away. So they can use their Stevenson account now, but they just have to remember to switch it over to a personal account before they graduate, or they can start with just their personal account now.
Gotcha.
They just have to remember their password.
I was wondering about that. So use a personal account, probably. Unless they don't have one.
Yeah, but as a parent, if you do that, make sure that they do their special phrase, and make sure you write down their password somewhere.
Gotcha. All right, everyone. Thank you again. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Custable. A million times. Thank you so much. I appreciate
it.
And everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you later. Take care, everyone. Good night.